But anyways, yeah, that was that. So boom, it unblocked her. So that was good. That was really, I hope it reads right. Today I have a busy schedule, low-key. I need to fold some clothes and I need to just spruce up the house a little bit. But it's just something about when the weather and your mood feel the same. It just, you need to do something to make yourself feel a little better. So I'm going to do my makeup, but I'm not doing nothing super heavy. I just want to be cute. In one of my videos, I was telling you guys about like my doctor's experiences since I've been trying to get pregnant. And I think I may have touched on, I don't know what doctor I left on, Stoniker. I was taking Clomid. I was taking Clomid for like 7-8 months. Major progesterone. I left that in one of my last videos. I think when I was shopping or I ran some errands or something like that. Maybe like 2 videos ago. Anyways, so I was on that and I blew up like, oh my gosh. It was so depressing how much weight I had gained, but I knew it was, you know, just only temporary, and that I was trying to get pregnant, so I didn't really stress it too much. So fast forward, my husband and I, we moved to Dallas and I started working my first corporate job, and one of the ladies who I was working with had told me about her doctor, and she was like, yeah, she's a black doctor, she's great, she takes everything I'm saying seriously, you know, she treats me with respect, you know, just like upping this lady very much. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, okay, you know, I trust the lady who told me, one of my coworkers, I trust her judgment, because she was from Florida too. And she was so opinionated, and she would literally tell anybody how she felt, like in a professional way, of course, but I just really respected her. Let me do this today. So I really respected her, and in her opinion. So she was like, yeah, I have this doctor, she's great, she's very personable, just, you know, just like really upping the lady. So I was like, okay, you know, I want to see for myself, I want to go to her, whatever. So I go to the appointment, my first appointment, and I'm telling the lady, you know, like, I'm super depressed. Because by this time, you got to think, I'm newly married. I've been trying to get pregnant since we were in college, which again, thank God we did not get pregnant at that time. Because I also never wanted to have a child out of wedlock. I really didn't. But I was going through things medically that just, I felt like I needed to get pregnant. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. But God has a funny way of showing us things. Anyways. So I wanted to try out this doctor. I went to the doctor. I'm in her office. I'm crying. I'm like, you know, I'm so depressed. I'm newly married. I've been trying to get pregnant for X amount of years by this point. I'm like, okay. You know, I'm just basically venting to her and wanting help. Like, at this point, I have been at my job for a while. I really wanted to go on FMLA because I was so depressed that sometimes I would be like, I don't know if you can say this word, like, on YouTube. Like, sometimes I would want to myself, because it just felt like I wasn't, I don't know, like, I felt like I wasn't performing or being my best self as a woman. Like, I wasn't able to do womanly things. I don't know. I was unhappy. So I'm telling the doctor all of this. She's looking at me with like a straight face, like, no empathy, no nothing. I'm not gonna say her name because I still live in Texas and I don't want that to, like, you know, I don't know. If you guys want me to say her name, I'll say it, drop it in the comments, but right now I just don't feel comfortable saying it. Anywho, so I'm telling her all these things. I'm like, you know, yeah, I'm feeling depressed. Like, I was extremely depressed. And honestly, guys, this is why I feel like you should never ask a woman, like, when is she getting pregnant? You shouldn't ask a woman anything about pregnancy because you really don't know what silent battles they're facing. You look proud. You look proud. Okay, so I'm in her office. I'm telling her, you know, like, yeah, I'm battling depression. Like, sometimes I feel, and I just feel like I need to take a break from work right now. And she was like not willing to help me at all. She was like, yeah, it's really nothing I can do about that. She just was like brushing me off. I was like, wow. I'm literally telling you all these things that I have going on, and she literally did not care whatsoever. But while I was in her office, she did mention to me, and this was probably the only positive thing that I ever got from going to this lady's office. She did mention to me that you know, I could potentially need to get an HSG, which is basically an exam that they put like blue dye in your and it goes up to your fallopian tubes, and they do, like, they take pictures and they see whether or not your tubes are open. So she was like, you know, I would recommend that, but at that time, this was like 2019, like my husband was still like, and you know, like he was figuring out what he wanted to do with his career with football and stuff like that. So we had like one primary source of income, so it was like paying X amount of dollars for like a diagnostic test that just, it wasn't realistic at that time. So I was like, I felt defeated. And honestly, the doctor, she had no empathy. But that wasn't even the kicker. This was the kicker. So because that wasn't what made me stop going to her initially, because at this point I'm used to not having, I'm going to use the e.l.f. putty primer because I wanted to be a little matte. So by this time, you know, I'm kind of used to doctors not showing me any empathy. So by this time I'm having the worst periods. Like literally I would have huge blood clots the size of quarters. It was disgusting and so painful, and I would literally throw up. I would be sweating. It was horrible. Like I really wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, how bad I would feel like I was gonna die every cycle. So one time it was so bad, like I would have to take like 4 ibuprofens, maximum strength, like it was horrible. So one time it was so bad that I felt like I needed to go to the emergency room, but I had seen this doctor. I had seen her about maybe like 4 times, so I'm thinking that we have a relationship, and you know, I can call her and you know, things of that nature, and that she would be, I don't know, I felt like she had knew me by then. So I called the doctor and I'm like, hey, you know, I can't take this, like I'm having to call out of work, I'm throwing up, the only time that I feel any type of slight relief is if I get in the tub, and you know, I'm scared and I needed some medicine or something. And the doctor was like, have you taken Tylenol? Like basically, why are you calling me? I was like, if I had taken Tylenol, I wouldn't even called. You know, like, you don't, that was like the ultimate slap in my face at that point, because I'm like, what do you mean? Have I taken Tylenol? Like, I wouldn't even call you if I hadn't already done like everything that I physically could do at home. Why would I just dry call the doctor? I don't know. So that, to me, that was the final straw, because I was like, yeah, she's not, if she can't take me seriously when I'm telling her that I'm having like period pains, how serious would she take me when I tell her, you know, if I were to get pregnant and I was telling her that I was having, you know, pains during pregnancy? Like, girl, I'm not gonna play those type of games with you. And she was black. She was a black doctor. I don't know if I said that or not, but I feel like that's extremely important to state, because it kind of reminded me of, like, y'all remember when that old clip of Dr. Jackie was circling and she was like, black women are some of the most dramatic da 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 da, and everybody was like defending her. Girl, how do you know? And you've literally never had one child to die nor cry for, and you're up here trying to say that black women are more dramatic. And I didn't like that from her cast members either, like how they were defending it. It's like, it's literally no defense. You don't say stuff like that because you don't know what someone's pain tolerance is. I digress. So yeah, so she didn't really take me serious, and that hurt me so bad, because I was like, I literally was crying in her office telling her, you know, by this time I had never had a pregnancy scare. So I'm like, okay, can you help me? Like, I hurt every time I'm on my cycle, you know, I'm throwing up, I sweat. It was horrible. Like, when my period came on, like, I would sometimes just want to just go to the hospital. Like, I wouldn't even want to deal with it. So it was extremely traumatic for me. And for me to be telling another woman, let alone a black woman, knowing the stigma that we already have when it comes to us being in pain anyways, that was like a slap in the face. So I stopped going to her, and I didn't have an OB for like close to a year, probably longer than that, honestly. It was a while, because I just had horrible experiences with them, and I'm like, I'm not gonna just keep on trying saying stuff to OBs, and they're just gonna make it seem like I'm being dramatic, or like, it just was traumatic. So boom, I'm talking to my sister. So like a year and a half, however long goes by, I'm talking to my sister. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling discouraged, you know. And my sister had been over my house a few times my sister had been over my house, or our house, I'm sorry, a few times when my period had came on, and I was like boo-hoo crying because it was like the first day, and it just was like god awful. And she was like, oh my gosh, like, she couldn't believe it. So she was like, well, I have a great doctor, and this doctor's name is Dr. Mookin. So she's like, I have a great doctor, she is very like attentive, da 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 da. So I'm like, okay, great. If my sister says that she's all these things, then I trust her, and I'm gonna give her a shot. So I go to Dr. Mookin, and I'm not gonna lie, the first couple of visits were simply amazing. Like, they were great. And she prescribed me letrozole and estradiol, and I took it for a few months. We had no success, clearly. And she was like, okay, what else is it that you would like to try? Like, and I had been doing my research, and I was like, I want to try doing a trigger shot to also trigger my ovulation, because I had been taking tests, you know, like everything checked out to where she had approved for me to do these things. So she's like, okay, you know, I'll send the recommendation. So I had did like 2 rounds of estradiol and estradiol and letrozole, and I had also did like an induced trigger shot. So I do the trigger shot, and so what happened, I did the trigger shot for maybe two times, and whenever, I'll never forget, it was 2020, was it last year? No, 2023, 2022, I don't know, but it was Labor Day. It was 2023 or 2022, one of those, Labor Day weekend. And I had been calling the office, because when you have like fertility medication, you have to take it on certain days or you're pretty much screwed. So I knew Labor Day weekend was coming up, so I had been calling her office because I was missing, I think it was like my estradiol and the trigger shot, the HSG shot. So I had been calling the office and I was like, hey, you know, I haven't got my, I've been calling the pharmacy and they haven't got my prescription for XYZ. So every day that I would call, they would like brush me off. They'd be like, okay, well, Dr. Mookin is busy right now. She's gonna get to it when she gets to it. So I didn't take it personal because I had great experiences with her. So they're like, you know, she's gonna get to you when she gets to you. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I'm just gonna keep calling. But I was not rude at all. I wasn't mean because I had no reason to be. I had felt heard by her. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep calling and remind her. So it's getting like the day before, it's probably like the day before Labor Day, like the weekend actually started. So I call again and they're like, the nurse or whoever had answered the phone, they was like, she said that she was going to get back with you, like getting all feisty with me and like rude, and you know, like she said she was going to get back with you, da, 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 da. And then so I get a call back from Dr. Mookin, and she's like, yeah, you know, I'm not going to be able to see you anymore as a patient. I was like, what? I was like, why not? You know, she was like, because my front office said that you have been calling and you were being rude and, you know, just like all this stuff. So I was like, is this even a joke? And she was like, no, I'm not going to be able to see you anymore. So I was like, okay, whatever. Are you still going to send over? I was like, okay, well, that's fine. At that point, I was like in shock. I was like, are you joking me? And I was like, okay, well, can you still send over the prescription for the medicine, you know, that because that's why I have been calling. She was like, no, did not send it over. And I was hurt. Like I was in a deep depression for like maybe like a month or two, honestly, because I felt like I had found a good doctor, like a doctor who heard me, who listened to me. And literally all that I was talking just like this, and I hope that this video blows up and that she sees it. I was literally talking like this, and she just treated me like crap. So yeah, that's what happened with her. So I don't know how many doctors that is that I've seen at this point, honestly. So I was in a depression for a while, maybe like, of course, 2 months like after it happened, I was distraught, but I was depressed. Because again, you guys have to remember, I'm newly married. Well, by this point, I was probably like 3 years into marriage. Never had a pregnancy scare. Never, you know, it was just a lot that was going on. So, it just was a lot that was going on, guys. It was horrible. And, so yeah, I was depressed for a while. And keep in mind, like, it was people who knew, like family, friends, all that, who knew that I had PCOS and would still be like, when are y'all getting pregnant? When are y'all getting pregnant? I'm like, shh, what part of infertility issues don't you understand? Like, that is so insensitive. You don't ask, first of all, you don't ask someone who's going through, you don't ask any woman when are they getting married, or that too, when they get married, when they get pregnant. You need to mind your business, because if y'all are close like that, that person will tell you. And honestly, for people that have been doing that, at that time, me and my husband, like, we had a great life. And the only thing that people could say, really and truly, was bringing up kids, because we had a great life. So it was like, that was irritating, because they would bring up the fact that we don't have kids in a way to be like, y'all have everything else, but y'all don't have kids. When y'all having kids, when y'all doing this, and they'll be like, shut up, because y'all know that I have PCOS. And y'all know that we, look at me and look at him, like, we're hot. Do you not think that we're not having sex? So that was irritating. That was so irritating. And yeah, I don't know, like people who would ask stuff like that, like I didn't want a relationship with them at all. Yeah. Would not, did not, could not. Because it would be like, why, if you know somebody's going through something, why even ask them? Like, and it wouldn't be like asking like, hey, you know, I know that you guys are going through this. Just wanted to make sure you guys were okay. Chelsea, how are you doing? It would be like, when y'all gonna have a baby? When y'all gonna, like, shut up. Some months go by and we're like, okay, we're making, no, I had seen, I think it was Judy, you know, the lady who has Kaleidoscope, that stuff. I seen that her and the brat had went to this one doctor at, I think it's called Hope Fertility in Atlanta. And I seen that the doctor, she just seemed so personable on the show or whatever like that. So I was like, okay, because keep in mind, at this time, me and my husband, we're making $20,000 a month was like the minimum that we were making. So we were like, okay, we can swing IVF, like no problem. And at this point, I was scarred from doctors in Texas. Like I did not want to see another doctor in Texas. I was having like PTSD from them because they weren't, to me, the doctors that I had encountered, they did not take me serious. When I had painful periods, they would brush it off, but I'm literally the one who felt like I was about to die. And it just was horrible. It was the worst. And I didn't want to deal with them anymore. So I told my husband, you know, let's just try IVF. We've been trying naturally for a while, and maybe we just are going to need some help. So my husband, being the supportive husband that he is, he was like, okay, cool, like let's just try it. What's the worst that can happen? You know, it wouldn't necessarily change for the worse, it would only change for the better. So we drive all the way to Atlanta for our consultation. We meet with the doctor. I forget her name, but she's a black doctor. And you know, the first appointment, it was okay, but it didn't feel like very personable, honestly. It just felt like, oh hey, like I don't know how to explain it. It just felt like whatever. So, but we were so excited that we weren't really like, I don't know, I guess we weren't really like paying that much attention to it, because keep in mind, we had already drove, and our job at that time, we could not like take off. They didn't give a darn what. They didn't care, because it was independent, so you could literally get released at any moment. So you can keep taking off if you want to. You ain't gonna have no job. And with that type of money, baby, we weren't gonna risk it for nobody, okay? Including ourselves, which looking back, I don't really know if we'd do that again. But then again, the money was so good, who knows? Never say never. Anywho, so the first doctor's appointment, it was cool. It was like, okay, whatever, like you can tell she was about that check though, which was okay. But she was like, you know, before we get started with anything, I'm going to need you to do a HSG, which keep in mind, in like 2019, 2020, my other doctor had also recommended that I get one, but at that time it just wasn't a good time for us financially to be paying that much money for a test, because sometimes insurance, I don't remember if insurance would cover it or not. I don't remember. So we were like, okay, well that's fine, go ahead and send the order. Well, she was like, you know, I'll send the order whenever your cycle starts, and then we'll just go from there. So we're like, okay, well that's cool, like we'll just let you know whenever my cycle starts, because it's a certain cycle date. Okay, so my cycle starts, and the doctor was like, okay, let me know which facility to send the orders to. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm calling doctors around in Texas, and they're like, or radiologists around in Texas, because it has to be a radiologist who does the HSG for you because, yeah. Anyways, so I'm calling clinics and stuff like that, and they're like, yeah, no, we can't do that for you because it's a Georgia order, so you're gonna have to go to Georgia to get it done. What do you mean? So that put a huge damper on us, and that was so stressful because we had to drive all the way back to Atlanta and get the HSG done there, which it was so stressful. That was so stressful because we didn't plan to do that, but we had to do it anyways. So we get to Atlanta, and I do the HSG. Found out that one of my tubes, I think it was like my right side, it was a little blocked, but the HSG, like the fluids that they kept like pushing in, it unblocked my tubes or whatever. So that was good. That was really good. So both my tubes were open after the HSG. Y'all, on a scale of 1 to 10 how bad the HSG hurts, I'm not gonna lie, it is a strong 8. They recommended that I take some like Tylenol before I even did it, but me and my husband, we were fake arguing. Oh my gosh, I hate when that happens. We were fake arguing, and he was like Chelsea, don't forget to take your medicine. The doctor told you to take some medicine. I was like, I'm not taking no medicine. I don't know, you know, just like trying to prove a point to him. Baby, that, I'll never forget that, because they have to dilate your cervix. They dilate your cervix, and then they put the, like with the balloon, and then they stick the dye in. Baby, I would not, y'all. That was the most painful. That was so painful, y'all. And yeah, I'll never forget that. Never in my life. So boom, I'm like, oh my gosh, do that. I was kind of sad because my you know, this whole time I've been thinking that it was just PCOS and all that, but the whole time, y'all, my right tube was blocked. So I'm like, dang, I probably couldn't have got pregnant if I wanted to. Yep, so tube was blocked. Now, I would say fast forward to, fast forward to when? After we got everything back, and we had a virtual like consultation with the the lady at Hope Fertility, like the doctor. And she like, you know, yeah, we would probably need to go ahead and move forward with IVF, and you know, just like giving us the breakdown. So IVF was going to cost us like $24,000. But keep in mind, you know, at that time we was like, okay, well that's no problem. But this is what kind of just threw us off about the whole thing. I had been, you know, in my Bible and stuff like that, and I remembered the story of Sarah and Abraham. And I probably even have it on my phone because I remember putting it in my notes. And I was like, I don't want for my husband and I to, oh look, it's already up. I was like, I don't want for Corey and I to be making decisions that God is going to make for us. You know what I mean? Like if God didn't tell us, you need to, because he didn't really tell us that we needed to go through with IVF. That was just something that we were being impatient on, and we wanted it for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we felt like, oh my gosh, you know, we got this good job. It just felt like the right thing that we needed to do. Everybody up in our ear, like, when y'all gonna have a baby? Every 5 seconds, like, give us a break. So it just felt like the right thing that we needed to do. But also at the same time, we weren't 110% sure. So we get the quote and stuff like that, and I had told my husband, I was like, you know, I'm scared to go forward with IVF because I feel like we would end up like Sarah and Abraham. And this is from my notes. Look, you can check the date. I hope it reads right. It is from November 12, 2018. Because keep in mind, I had been trying to get pregnant for a while. And it was about the story of Sarah and Abraham. And I said, this story in the Bible reminds me of myself because Corey and I want a baby so bad that we went to 3 to 4 different doctors to get medicine and still have not conceived. In the story, Sarah told Abraham that he should have a baby with her servant, which was not God's will. So I felt like doing IVF at that point of our life was not God's will. So I wasn't really that strong in us doing it. You know, I was a little nervous. I was like, I don't know. It was never at that time about the money. It was more so about not following the will of God, and that made me very, 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 very nervous. Because I was thinking, like, what if we do IVF and something is wrong with the baby, or, you know, just like something goes wrong with me or anything. Sorry, y'all, something has flown in my face. And then I was like, which in turn caused strife between Sarah and her housemaid. Whenever Sarah was 99 and her and Abraham were able to have a baby of their own, Isaac, and were able to pass their land to him. This in turn caused a problem between him and his brother Ishmael. One, had they been patient and waited on God, they would have had a baby when God said so. Two, they would have never had problems with their housemaid and caused jealousy. Three, the brothers would have never had issues. This has to do with me/us because I feel like we aren't being patient with God. For example, we are so ready to have a baby that we went to multiple doctors and still have not conceived a baby. Not because the medicine isn't working, but because it isn't time. So that's what I said on November 12, 2018. So that Bible study that I had at that time, it kind of just came back to me, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to do anything that isn't of God's will, because we had already been doing things before that wasn't of God's will. You know, like we were staying together, we weren't married, we were having premarital sex, you know, just a whole bunch of stuff that really and truly I would not want our child to do. So looking back, even though of course I wanted a baby, I'm happy that God said no right now. Even then, because we didn't get married until December 31st of 2018. So we weren't even married then, but we have been trying for so long. Like I told y'all, that I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, okay, so boom, we finally made a decision, like, okay, we're not going to go through with IVF, but we did still have another IVF place in mind, because we were like, okay, $20,000, like, we're not gonna pay $20,000. We're not even 100% sure. It's not really any like connection between us and the doctor. Like, I felt like we was just another number to her, like the same level of like, oh my gosh, that she had with Judy and what's her name, it was not with us. So that kind of made me uncomfortable, because it was like, we just, you know, we're normal people who are actually going through real life infertility, and not to say that they were or were not, but we finna spend our hard-earned regular people $24,000 to have a baby, and it just didn't feel right. So we didn't go through with that. So, and that was like March, that was all March to May, or no, January to May of 2023. Okay, so boom, now from then until I'd say like from March of 2023, what is it? It's 2024, it's just turned 2024 really. So I'd say from then to about December of 2023, I just was in a place that I'm not gonna say scared, but I've had so many bad experiences with doctors. At that point, I was just like, you know what? I don't even want to try right now. I just want to, you know, live, and whenever it happens, it happens. Like, I just want to enjoy not having kids right now. And keep in mind, while all this is going on, while me and my husband are dealing with these silent battles, people in our family, friends, like, who knew what it was, would be like, when are y'all having a baby? Da 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 da. And that's why I'm saying, like, you should never ask a woman when is she having a baby, because I had to go to therapy for like 2 years about my infertility issues and a host of other things. Like, I was so depressed that I wanted to just, it was bad. So people just randomly asking like, oh, when are you gonna get pregnant and all that, that was annoying and hurtful at the same time. It was like, y'all don't even know what silent battles I'm going through, and here it is, y'all up here talking about when is you getting pregnant. Like, shut up, I don't want to hear that. And it just made me like it made me very angry. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I don't know, I was very angry about it, and it was in a season of isolation. Like, I didn't have friends I could be like, oh, this is what I'm going through, da da da. No, God wanted me and my husband to go through that alone so that we could build a great foundation. And looking back, I'm so thankful that he did that, because that's exactly what it did. Like, me and my husband, we have a very, 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 very strong bond, because it was certain seasons in our marriage and throughout our relationship that we didn't have anybody to lean on except for each other. So, because when you get married, sometimes people will be like, oh, you have such and such, so you don't really need us, or whatever the case may be. Or they just be thinking that because of the fact that you're married, you can't do certain things. Like, they just go ahead and put that stigma on you. So that's what happened to us. And once people started doing that, we just started to roll with it, and it just made our relationship. It really did. So thank y'all for real, because it definitely did help mold and build our relationship to be what it was supposed to be. But yeah, so where was I at? Yeah, I was very, 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 very depressed. I had to go to therapy for like 2.5 years. Like, it was bad. Like, I wouldn't wish my experiences on nobody, because certain people probably wouldn't even be able to handle that. But I thank God that, you know, he gave me the wisdom to go get help. That's all I can say about that. Okay, so fast forward to 2023 of December. Me and my husband, we had a conversation. We were like, okay, because trying to get pregnant, it was very hard on both of us. It was hard, and it was hard on our marriage. So we were like, okay, you know, we've had a lot of fun. And I told him, you know, I was ready, because he was like, you know, he willing to do whatever I want to do. He ready whenever I'm ready. So I had told him, you know, okay, I'm ready to try again. So he was like, okay, cool. So I don't know, how did I find this doctor? No, so I get on Google, and I looked up the most compassionate OBGYNs in the city that I live in. And I found Dr. Anthony O'Connell, because I had been having, and I felt like I may have been in denial about potentially having endometriosis, right? Because I remember watching a show from Married to Medicine, where Dr. Gregory's wife, she had got diagnosed with endometriosis, and crazy enough, she had also went to Hope Fertility. That same doctor that she saw was the doctor that I saw, and the doctor told her, you know, you have stage whatever endometriosis, and stuff like that. And she was like really sad about it, and you know, crying in the office. It was sad. So I had seen that and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I don't have endometriosis, you know, just like kind of denial about it. But some of the signs were there that I could have potentially had it, but I just wanted to be so far in denial about it because I was scared to have it and scared to know what came with endometriosis, you know what I mean? I didn't want that diagnosis. And yeah, so I finally, like, I had horrible periods. Sometimes I would have pain with sex, not really, but I enjoyed it. That may be TMI, so sorry if it is, but you know, that's just what it was. I enjoyed it, so it wasn't like the end of the world. But what was the end of the world was the potential of not knowing if I did have it or didn't have it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look up an OBGYN that specializes in fibroids and endometriosis, and I found my doctor. So I go to him, and the first interaction, I don't remember when I first went to him, but he was like, yeah, you know, I told him, you know, what I had been having going on, and that I had been trying to get pregnant for a while. And he was like, yeah, it does sound like you could have endometriosis, and I think that we should schedule a laparoscopic surgery to go ahead and diagnose you. So I had a huge knot in my throat. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? I'm like, I don't want to be diagnosed with endometriosis, like, you know, scared, because I didn't know anybody else who had it. So I'm like, but also at the same time, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm getting older. I want to have kids. My husband wants to have kids. If I can carry our child, I want to do everything that I can to be able to do it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get over my fear, and I'm going to go ahead and schedule the surgery. So I scheduled the surgery as soon as I could, like May 8th is when I had the surgery. So, boom, schedule the surgery, and have the surgery, which y'all see on my channel. I had surgery, and I did in fact have endometriosis. So just imagine that if I didn't have surgery, right, or I still was scared of the diagnosis and what could happen. And whole time, y'all, I can still get pregnant, like, and that's the thing. You just have to, well, I'm not gonna say it's like you just have to get it removed, because I know it's a case-by-case basis, like, I know that for a fact. But yeah, you can still get pregnant. You may have to go through IVF if you have endometriosis. You may not. If your tube is still open, you may not. But they did say it's best that I get pregnant within the year so that the endometriosis doesn't grow back. So that's just where we're at right now. And yeah, I'm in a much better space about it. And some of the things that has given me a lot of hope is my dad. He had a friend, a very close friend. Her name was Cheryl Blue. Shout out to Rachel. I hope that you're doing well. Prayers, peace, blessings to you. And she was like a prophet. Like, she would see things and you'll be like, how do you know this? But it was only because of God that she would know these things. And she called my mom one day, and she was like, God sent, and she had terminal cancer at this time, and she was like, God sent me a message for Chelsea. It was something else that she told my mom about my brother, and then she was like, God sent me this message about Chelsea. I don't know if she's been trying to get pregnant or what, but God does not want her to go through with IVF. He does not want her to do anything like that. He is going to bless her and her husband with the baby. And she didn't know about IVF because at that time we hadn't told that many people. We had probably told maybe 10 people tops. And I was just shocked because that was something that my husband and I had been contemplating the whole time. We were like, should we do it? Should we not do it? You know, is this the right thing? Is it not the right thing? We just didn't know. And for her to come out and say and we have been praying about it too, but it didn't even feel right at that time. So for her to just come out and say, you know, God said that he's going to bless them with a baby and that they don't need to go through with IVF. That gave me so much peace that I can't even describe or put into words how much peace that gave me. And I was like, okay, I want to change because I have been praying and asking God for this. He's sending signs to not only us but our family and things like that. So I told my husband, like, it was things that we were doing that I just wanted to stop doing. I didn't want to be of the world that much anymore. And at that moment, I feel like that is when I truly became, I won't say like healed, but in a way it did feel like I was healed from not being, you know, wanting to end it all because of that. And I just thank God for knowing that that's where I was in my life and sending an angel to deliver that message. And I think maybe like a month or two after that she passed. Okay, so that was like in 2023. I know I keep jumping back and forth, but I'm just going back and forth as the things come to me. So fast forward to now. Had surgery, and I think I may have even mentioned it a few times, like in the in one of my vlogs. I was scared to have surgery because I had never had surgery before, but also I was really nervous about the diagnostics. Like, I did not want to be diagnosed with endometriosis. I was scared to know what comes with endometriosis, like how will this affect me in the long run. I was scared. I was very scared. I didn't know anybody who had it. It was really scary. So I have the surgery. I'm healing well. It's about 4 weeks out from my surgery. And someone that I went to middle school with wrote me like yesterday. And she was like, I had a dream about you. Can I tell you what it's about? And I trust her judgment. She is very like spiritual. She has a great relationship with God from what I see. And I just trusted her judgment. So I'm like, of course, like, spill the beans. Like, what is it? So she tells me that God has, you know, he sees my husband and I's heart posture and wants us to know that we are in the right place with it. And he told her that we have been trying to get pregnant and he's going to bless us with that soon. So immediately, because my husband and I have been praying for signs from God, because we have been making drastic changes in our lives, like just trying to change and live for God and just be different. Like, I don't listen to secular music like that anymore. I don't have any on my phone. Like, I don't have Apple Music on my phone. I try to listen to jazz music or just like different stuff. So, and you know, anytime that I feel convicted about anything that I'm doing, I immediately repent and ask God for forgiveness, because I want to change. I do not want to be worldly. I do not want to be like that anymore. So I was like, oh my God. Like, so I immediately burst into tears because I'm like, I cannot believe that God is so good that he would send me. And I think maybe even before she had even wrote me, I had just asked God to just, you know, just send me a sign. You know, I know that we will get pregnant because you told that to one prophet who I really trust, and she didn't even know what we had going on. She just, you know, said that. And then I was like, you know what, just just give us a sign, God. Like, I'm already scared about this diagnosis, and you know, it just was a lot going on. I'm already scared about this diagnosis. I don't really know how this is going to affect us. I need a sign from you, God. And not even a full 24 hours, not even a full couple of hours, that was the message that was sent to me from my middle school friend. Would you believe that? God is so good. So yeah, I no longer get depressed about you know, our trying to conceive process, because a while ago I had felt like, you know, God, maybe like a year ago, I was like, you know what, maybe God is just putting my husband and I through this so that we could be the example. Like, if you pray to God for things and you need a miracle, he will do it for you. So I just asked God for strength for that, because with that comes a lot of stress. Like, y'all don't understand how stressful and annoying at the same time it is for people to know that you have, you know, this condition that causes infertility, especially like as a woman. Like, it's just certain things that you just should not ask another woman. Yeah, that's just where I was at. I was very angry with it. And more recently, I have been just like at a very, very good place with it all. Like, I don't get angry like I used to about it. Now I'm gonna just use the Milan and make it last. I need to get some more because it ain't lasting. Okay, so yeah, I did my lips off of camera. I'm gonna touch them a little. But yeah, I honestly and truly, I just really, if I don't get anything out of this, I just hope that the things that I've gone through with trying to get pregnant just blesses someone else, honestly. Like, maybe resond and estradiol didn't work for me, but that's something that you can bring up to your doctor. Maybe, you know, because of the fact that my tubes were closed, you know, and you may have been trying to get pregnant for years, maybe an HSG is something that you can bring up to your doctor, you know. So that's how I'm looking at the things that I'm going through now. Like, I know God has prophesied, or you know, God has sent prophets to my husband and I so many times to let us know that we will be parents and that our kids will not be like us. They will not be like worldly. They will be led in a way that God is proud of how we're raising our children. So I'm just thankful that God gave me the strength to have the willpower to keep trying, and you know, to just keep on seeking him throughout every aspect of my life. And even when I fell short of God's mercy, he still gave me grace and still showed up in my life in ways that I can't even explain. So I just hope that this is, I don't know, I just you know, want to give God all the glory for everything that my husband and I have been going through with trying to get pregnant, because sometimes that's just what you gotta do. You just gotta step back and look at the good. The good is, you know, my husband and I, because of our infertility issues and things that we've gone through, we have the best relationship. And I'm not gonna say that it was always like peaches and cream, because it wasn't. It was not always like that. It really put a strain on our marriage at one point, like when we first were married. But with the help of God and, you know, prayer and, you know, just really talking with each other, we just have a great relationship. And I can't thank anyone other than God, because that was the only person who was there for us through a lot of our things that we went through. So yeah. that God keeps on using my husband and I as an example. And I know, just like Sarah, with her 99 years of waiting, God, please don't let it be 99 years. I can't say 99 years, but I will if that's what you say. But also at the same time, you know, but just like Sarah, God blessed her and Abraham. And I know that God is going to have that same grace and mercy on my husband and I's marriage. And I can't wait to have another testimony for you guys, because with the help of God, you know, accompanied with therapy and, you know, other things, I feel amazing. Like, I don't feel like I'm to blame for our, you know, issues with getting pregnant. And I don't know, I just feel a lot better about the whole situation. And you have to understand, like, when you're freshly married and y'all have already been trying to get pregnant for a while, baby, I'd be lying if I said that didn't put a strain on our marriage. I would be a bold-faced lie, especially with, like, the pressure of people who aren't even in your marriage asking you, like, when are you getting pregnant? And there was a point in our marriage, which I'm not going to really get into it too much, because I'm just not really ready to share that with the world, honestly. But there was a point in our marriage where we were pregnant. But I'm not going to get into that, because I'm really just not ready to talk about that. But yeah. And directly after that, when we did try again, you know, to get pregnant and stuff like that, people were like, oh, when are you getting pregnant? When are you getting pregnant? Some people didn't even know. Some people did. It's just, like, frustrating. That's very frustrating. But we all fall short. So, grace. You gotta give people grace. That's what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. Y'all, I don't know, should I leave the braids in? Because I feel like they're kind of cute. I have not done my hair. Let's see it together. Because I where I'm at mentally, and when I look back, it's like I'm just thankful that God had that much grace and mercy over my life to pull me out of that depression, because that was horrible. Like, it was horrible. I don't have an enemy, but I wouldn't wish that on them. Like, that level of depression, that level of being suicidal, like, I wouldn't wish that on nobody. And something that's out of your control, you know what I mean? Like, I could not control how hard it was for me to get pregnant. I couldn't control that. That's just something that I was born with, and that I would just have to be okay with the journey. I would have to grow with it. But it's very much easier said than done, and I can testify to that. But that doesn't mean that it's not possible. It doesn't mean that anything is possible, especially when you have God on your side. So y'all keep that in mind. I don't know, y'all, do y'all think I should do a little lip gloss? I don't know. What y'all think? But yeah, I love a flip over, because I just feel like it's so cute. It's so feminine, especially with how hot it is. Like, you can still have your fake sew-in. Well, mine glue. I'm gonna spritz this down. I'm not gonna keep on playing with that. Lay down. I'm gonna cover that up. Oh yeah. who got time? I ain't got time to keep on playing with nothing. But yeah, y'all, this is the final look. I told y'all before, you do not have to spend an arm and a leg on makeup products. You just need to know what you're doing. I am gonna put some lip gloss on because it look dry. My lips look dry. I don't like it. Don't get me wrong, I like a little matte look, but sometimes you just need a lip gloss. Now this for real. A little pink, you know, just give it a little something. That's hot. That's hot. Oh yeah, that's hot. That's cute. Yep. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Oh, girl. Peace, love, blessings to everybody. At the end of the day, I just pray that whatever I'm going through can bless somebody. If I need y'all just see it up in my peripheral, but I just pray that whatever I'm going through can bless somebody. If you have endometriosis, if you have PCOS, if you have a retrograde uterus, anything, I don't know, if you have locked tubes, because these are all things that I've gone through, and I don't know, I'm getting through it. I can't wait to be on the other side of the fence and share my testimony with me being pregnant with you guys. And yeah, if y'all have any questions, drop the comments below, or drop your questions in the comments, I should say. And y'all have a great day.